Israel Adesanya has reacted to Jon Jones wanting to fight Francis Ngannou at heavyweight. On an ESPN MMA Instagram post, he commented saying, "It's been over 10 years, he won't." A 3-round welterweight bout between Magny vs Anthony Rocco Martin has been announced for the June 6th card, which has yet to be announced. Magny is coming off a unanimous decision win over Jingliang, and Anthony Rocco Martin is coming off a unanimous decision win over Ramazan Emeev. Glover Teixeira, in a recent interview with Ariel Helwani, speaks on his TKO stoppage victory over Anthony Smith.
No, man, not at all. I watched the fight even I was concerned, when he gave the two to the referee, and I was like, sorry, Anthony, this is part of the job, but you know what I mean? It was a point there that he wasn't attacking, you know what I mean, to hurt me anymore. It's nothing that was gonna, be like affected. When you're fighting, you wear those things. You kind of like, now I got to be careful here. Anthony Smith. He can knock anybody out anytime. But watching the fight later, I think they should stop early. Yes, maybe sometime in the 4th round. I don't know. It's one time that I knocked him down over there. I thought the ref was going to stop. Anthony was carving up, and the ref was saying a couple of times to watch the back of his head, So he kind of you pause for a second, and maybe if I keep going, punch, even though I was punching on his hand, but keep punching, the ref would stop early. But the ref was telling him gotta move, fighter. So he'll do something. Just move and make sure, to make sure he was there, but wasn't something to get out or anything, I say to Anthony Smith in a way, I wouldn't want that to happen with anyone, man. I know the guy have to go through later, and he have a family, but that's what I say over there. I say, hey, sorry, man, it is part of the job. That's what we sign up for, This sport is, man, when people say we don't say as much, but people not everybody, but most of the fighters, they go in there when they say I'm here ready to die or kill, and people just he's saying that, not really, People like Anthony Smith on Saturday night, he was there ready to die, man, and so so was me, and. But, when you go there and if the ref don't stop or the corner, we're not going to quit, man. We're going to keep fighting till, something happen worse, death.
Vai se machucar. Cuidado.
Anthony Smith on Sirius XM gives his reaction to referee Jason Herzog apologizing for the stoppage of his fight.
In the real world, I did everything I had to do to stay in the fight as long as I did. When he stopped it was exactly the time he needed to stop it. He did his job. He's a phenomenal ref. I've never been nervous about seeing Jason Herzog ref my fights. I would let him ref it again. I think he does that good of a job. But then don't get on social media and put out a statement because people on Twitter were roasting you a little bit, telling you did a shit job. The people that matter are the people that were involved in the fight. I make it a point before every fight to know the commands and know exactly what he expects out of each one of those commands and ask him. I did the same thing that night, and I might be one of the only fighters that do that. I need to know what it sounds like when you're about to stop a fight on my end of it, and if I'm trying to finish someone, because I need to know how close I am. I don't want to blow my gas tank if it's not sounding like I'm getting close to a finish. Maybe I'm feeling something different than what you're seeing. And I did the same thing that night, and I responded the way that he said he needed me to respond to continue to fight. So why are you coming out on social media apologizing for doing your job exactly the way that I expected you to do it? I don't need your apology. I don't need you to put a statement out because you did your job the way you were supposed to do it, and I did mine, and just went haywire, and I got my ass kicked. It happens. This is how the game goes. I don't need your feelings. I'm a black and white type of guy, and I don't want this to seem like I'm attacking Jason. I'm going to speak on the fight situation that happened on Wednesday night. Outside of that, I think he's a phenomenal guy. I hear he's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's a really, really high-level guy. We've had nothing but positive interactions. He's super respectful. He's fun to BS with back and forth. When it comes down to it, the black and white facts are my corners didn't have a choice. I take that away from them, and maybe that is unfair. It's just easier if the one single rule I have is followed. To be honest with you, I'm going to sound like a psycho saying this. It worked perfect. The way that I created the system around myself worked perfect. It did its job. They didn't stop the fight. I did everything I was supposed to do per Jason until I couldn't anymore. It worked out exactly the way I had hoped it was going to work out if that rule ever came into play where there was a decision to be made. Everyone's hands are clean on this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a good time. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
And Ben Askren gives his thoughts on Walt Harris's performance against Alistair Overeem.
So the Mental Monday today is about Walt Harris. Because it's something that I talk about a lot. So Walt Harris, obviously, if you guys have been paying any type of attention, he had the issue with his stepdaughter was kidnapped and ended up being murdered, and obviously this made mainstream news. And then he carried to this fight. He had the shirt with her going out, and one of the things I was worried about for him going into the fight is the emotional dump, right? And I think that's what we ended up seeing. And listen, I've never had to deal with anything as hard as what he dealt with there. I mean, I've had a couple friends pass away and a few older grandparents pass away, but nothing to that extent. And frankly, I hope I never have to deal with anything, because that's going to be incredibly difficult. So that being said, when we're still talking about Walt Harris as the competitor, I was interested to see how he was going to perform under such circumstances. And kind of, what I thought was going to happen did happen, and it's really obviously unfortunate because he's had the huge negative to it in his life, and then obviously he loses, and that's another negative, is that anytime your emotional state, and I talk about this all the time, anytime your emotional state is different than what it normally is, it can lead to a subpar performance. And so, what we saw with Walt last night was he came out, he looked great, and then all of a sudden it was like he went and fell off a hill, and it was almost like he just didn't, after about 2 to 3 minutes, it was almost like he didn't have anything left. And then obviously since the end of the first round he gets kind of ridden and punched, then the second round, he got dropped, and then Overeem stayed on top the entire time. And so to me, it looked like he was just totally drained, very little energy, and man, that is so hard to deal with. And so obviously, and I hope that none of you guys will ever have to deal with anything like he did, because it was terrible, right? Nevertheless, there will be other situations when you guys compete or have to perform where something emotional happened, right? Like I said, hopefully not to that level, but hey, your girlfriend breaks up with you because you're a schmuck, or maybe you get an F on a test and your dad's yelling at you, or right, there could be some type of issues which causes emotion, and then you have to go compete a little bit later. And so anytime the emotional state is different than what it normally is, it makes it significantly tougher to compete. And so, if you can use that to your advantage too, by trying to cause your opponent to get emotional, sometimes we see this with, we saw this with McGregor and Aldo. McGregor got Aldo to perform at a level, so at an emotional level that he wasn't used to, and he made a really stupid mistake. Boom, McGregor puts him down in 13 seconds or whatever. So that that's kind of the way we want to think about that. We want to compete as non-emotionally as possible.